For most people, as they go up the chain of command and take on more responsibility, they start to experience new levels of anxiety. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad, but there is something we can do about it. So keep watching, and I'm going to teach you some of my favorite techniques on how to address anxiety and a few scriptures about it as well. Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp, and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. Famous verse, Proverbs chapter 12, verse 25 says, "Anxiety weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up." Some translations say an anxious heart weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up. So it's a very interesting juxtaposition, the first half and the last half of the verse. The last half of the verse, we hear a kind word. So we think, oh, when someone speaks to that person. And yet, in the first half, we hear anxiety, an internal thing, an anxious heart. I say we can look at the last half solution as also an internal exercise. When we're feeling anxiety, many times it's because of what we're telling ourselves about the situation going on. So we can be kind to ourselves. Isn't this, after all, a part of the second greatest commandment? Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah, when we're not loving ourselves in difficult workplace situations, it can cause anxiety. So remember that verse, and remember, monitor what you're telling yourself. Lots of videos about this on this channel. Now, here's another thing that's more physiological. Many times when I get anxious, it's because I'm breathing shallow. Shallow, short breaths that I can say kind of metaphorically are not very deep, so they kind of stay here in my chest. And I don't realize I'm doing it. And I'm actually taxing my heart because I'm not giving my heart a lot of great oxygen. So when I notice I'm feeling anxious, the first thing I do is say, okay, how's my breathing? What's my breath like? And I observe how I'm breathing. And usually I'm either outright holding my breath or breathing really shallow like that. That's not good for us, and it only enhances the anxiety. I don't know the science behind it. Maybe it'd have been good to really do some research, but it's something along the lines of we kind of physiologically, inadvertently trigger our brain to release some stress hormones when we're breathing shallow, because our brain, in a sense, takes our behavior like we're threatened by something. So that just creates more anxiety. So a great thing to do is when you realize it, take a long, slow, deep breath. Let it out slowly. Try to keep a smile on your face so that if someone sees you doing it, they don't think you're having a mild breakdown. It is important to get into the habit of practicing breath because God designed it into us already. So why not proactively do it? What do I mean? The human sigh. When we sigh, it's because our body is trying to reset, maybe kind of get a little bit of that dopamine into our system to get rid of the norepinephrine. That human sigh, as a natural physiological response to our state of mind, we can do it manually, intentionally. And I have a technique I call, it's not mine, I learned it in my coaching day practice, 3-2-1 centered breathing. So the idea is, and I won't do the whole thing here because it might make you feel a little awkward. I'm good with it, but I've done it with so many clients. But you take a long, slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, you picture the number 3 blinking at your forehead level so that your eyes are kind of looking up to it 3 times as you exhale. 3, 3, 3. Oh yeah, did I mention say the number? Do that slowly. I just did it a little fast. And do the same thing with number 2. 2, 2, 2. And then number 1. Again, slowly. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system. I'm not a physiologist, not a doctor, endocrinologist. I don't know all those ologists, but I do know it works. Get used to practicing this intentionally before the anxiety comes, because sometimes anxiety is just a shallow breath, a lack of deep oxygen, using our diaphragm to breathe. I do know I was in the Navy. I didn't know a lot of Navy snipers, but I did know some. And Navy snipers do practice that type of breath for not just keeping their gun steady, but so that their heart can be steady as well. Okay? Another thing to consider when you're taking on more responsibility and have added anxiety, please do yourself a favor. Get to bed at the same time every night. Get up at the same time every morning. Yes, I've talked about this before. And woe is me, I'm going to say it even on the weekends. We don't want to disrupt our sleeping pattern. It gives us jet lag. We're interrupting our circadian rhythm. I did another video on the channel somewhere. I forget the title of it, but you can type in circadian or rhythm and you can watch the whole video about it. It's the light and darkness cycle in our life. This is useful for us in managing anxiety because we give our body a high energy start to the day, instead of a foggy, cloudy, loaded, weighted down start to the day, okay? Here's my last and big final tip, and this to me is a big one. For breakfast in the morning, outright refuse to eat anything to do with sugar of any kind. And that includes carbs like toast. Now, if you do carb-free bread, fine, but that's more like cardboard. I don't do that. Instead, replace it with high-fat, high-protein. I've said this a few times on this channel. It's a great reminder. I've learned this from watching Jordan Peterson speak about it, a man who is a psychologist who helps lots of people with anxiety, and his daughter included, and he himself included. So I started doing this. Avocado, eggs, non-dairy cheese, bacon, or some kind of other meat like chicken or turkey meat, or a healthy sausage. Very good. It really helps me start the day without anxiety because sugar will create anxiety in us. I really don't know how it does it, but it's like a poison. I did a video on this channel called Sugar Shortens Your Fuse. It will. Be mindful of it. Let's say you're not going to take my word for it now, which is cool, and you don't get rid of sugar in the morning, but you have been feeling anxiety at work. Monitor if the anxiety goes up or down when you eat more or less sugar, if you're not going to get rid of sugar initially. And if you notice that it does, get rid of sugar for a day or two and see how you feel. Witness if a normal event that would create anxiety now doesn't anymore. From what I understand by listening and observing my own actions, but listening to other lecturers about this, if we start the day off with sugar, it sets us up for some kind of chemical imbalance in our brain that we can't reset, even if we eat good for the rest of the day, until we go back to sleep. It has something to do with our sleep cycle. So give it a try. Get into the habit of eating high fat, high protein in the morning. Now, I did say that was my last one. Of course, the most important of all is to cast our anxieties on God because He cares for us. If I've never done this before on this channel, I don't remember. Let me tell you one way that I do it. As I'm praying, I visualize me handing over a load to God, standing in front of His throne, and Him kind of bending over and picking it up with a smile on His face and saying, I got this. It's a visualization technique, but it also helps my faith because I'm really focused on God being the one to take it from me, not me just like throwing it at His feet. There's a transaction, okay? If you got a lot of anxiety at work because of your increased responsibility, give yourself some grace. It's fine. It happens to everybody. And then use some of these techniques. When you start to use them, please give me a little shout out in the comments below and let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at Motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.